Hello! So it's another week and another reading vlog. I really enjoyed doing last week's holiday vlog, and since I have another week off work this week, I thought I do another vlog. I wanted to do 7 books in 7 days this week, so read a book every day starting tomorrow, which is Monday, until Sunday. So the plan is to first of all try and read an audiobook, so that would be 1, and then 2 I want to finish Gathering Moss by Kimmerer. I'm about a quarter of the way in with this one, so technically it will be 6 3/4 books in 7 days. And then for the other 5 books, I want to sort of pick a new one every day and then see how I go during the day, and then on the weekend sort of finish off any loose ends. I gathered all my books I wanted to read of 200 pages and less, so I'll just quickly go through them. I have 2 books on my e-reader that are possibilities, which are The Faces by Tove Ditlevsen and Employees by Olga Raven. I have 2 books that were on my September TBR, which were rereads, which are Minor Detail by Adania Shipley and Cove by Canon Jones. And then the rest of them are a Dutch book, Het bordeel aan het eind van de straat by Joost van Driel, The Adventures of China Iron by Gabriela Cabezon Camara, Brickmakers by Selva Almada, When I Sing Mountains Dance by Irene Sola, Corregidora by Gail Jones, The Living Mountain by Nan Shepherd, Clock Without Hands by Carson McCullers, and lastly Ace by Angela Chen. So I'll pick my first book tomorrow. So it's Monday morning and I'm gonna start my first book of 7 books in 7 days. I have my stack right here, and I'm just gonna use a random number generator to pick my book for the day. And I have 12 books, so 1, 2, 12. I should say that I have a few books on my e-reader, and I'm gonna put The Faces on number 1 and then Employees on number 2. So generate, and the number is 12, which would be the book at the bottom, and that's Ace. So that will be the book of today. Plans for today are I'm gonna go to my garden. I have an allotment, so I'm gonna go spend a few hours there because I haven't been in a while. And then for the rest of the day, I don't have any plans yet, so we'll see. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I've been reading a bit in Ace. I'm about 30 pages in, and I'm finding it really interesting. I wanted to read this book because I didn't really know anything about asexuality, and this is definitely teaching me things. So far the author has been talking about the sort of spectrum of asexuality, how it can range from being physically repulsed by having sex or thinking about sex, to not having any sexual attraction but still enjoying having sex with your partner to feel intimacy. And I like how she sort of takes apart different vocabulary surrounding sex, so the difference between sexual desire, sexual drive, attraction, and you know how attraction can be sexual, it can be romantic, it can be aesthetic, and how taking those different things surrounding sexuality apart is important. So yeah, all that in 30 pages, and I feel like I'm learning a lot, so that is exactly what I was hoping from this book, so I think that's going well. For the rest of the afternoon, I kind of want to rearrange my bookshelves. They are a bit of a mess right now, so let me show you. So I have two bookshelves. One is this one, which is in my living room, and as you can see, needs some sorting out. Lots of books on the floor. And then I also have this one, which is in my bedroom, which, you know, has two empty shelves, and then a whole pile of books on the top. So I don't know what's going on there, but I figured I should do something about it. That's the plan for the rest of the afternoon. I'm gonna listen to an audiobook, and I picked Upright Women Wanted by Sarah Gailey. It is a sci-fi, western, queer, librarian sort of story, so should be fun. I'm not going to film the whole bookshelf sort out, but I'll show you when I'm finished. Alright, last update of the day. I obviously did not manage to get all my bookshelves sorted, so now there's piles of books everywhere. I listened to about a third of Upright Women Wanted, and it's a fun little book. Lots of queer characters. I don't know if anyone else finds it, but I always have a little trouble with audiobooks, in that I often feel like I'm missing bits of the plot because I might be distracted by something else. So I often will read a summary of the plot before I start, so I already know what's gonna happen during the book, but it is still fun to be with these characters and see what they get up to. I have my ballet class tonight, which is the first time since the summer holiday, so I nearly forgot that we're starting today. After that, when I get back, I might do a little bit of reading, but I won't update you anymore. So that's that for today. I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning. So it is a new day. I didn't do that much reading anymore last night, but I got about a quarter of a way through Ace by Angela Chen, which is not that far, considering my plan was to read a book a day. But the book is excellent, so I'm not complaining. Today the plan is I want to go to a national park and do a big walk. I wanted to visit one that I haven't been to before. I'm going to one a bit further afield, which is about a 2-hour train ride, which means I could have a lot of reading time. And now all I have to do is pick the book for today. I have my stack here again. There's 11 books on it now. So I'm going to use a random number generator again to see what the book of the day will be. And I got number 7. And that is Brickmakers by Selva, Almada. What do I know about this? Not much. I've read The Wind That Lays Waste by Selva, Almada that I really loved. And I think this is also a queer story. But other than that, I'm going into it blindly. So yeah, let's see what this brings. It is the next day. I didn't really do any updates anymore yesterday when I got home because I was just too tuckered out after walking and traveling. But I did end up finishing Brickmakers by Selva, Almada. I have to wrap my thoughts about it a little bit because I thought parts of it were really strong. I think her writing is really excellent. It really gripped me from page 1, and it had some interesting commentary on sort of masculinity and holding up an image as a man. But it also said that this book was supposed to be queer, and that didn't happen until about 3/4 of the way in, and then it very much felt like the queerness was a way to develop the plot, and it had a real kill your gaze trope in it, so not sure if I like that. But yeah, I have to let my thoughts settle a bit on this one. I'm gonna pick a new book for today. I have my stack right here. So 1 to 10, generate, I get number 10, which is Clock Without Hands by Carson McCullers. I really enjoyed 2 of her other books that I've read, The Heart is a Lonely Hunter and The Member of the Wedding. And I think this is one of those books as well, set in a small town with interesting characters. So yeah, very excited to read this one. I have my mum and my aunt visiting today. They're coming for lunch. So this morning I should probably tidy up a little bit, finish rearranging my bookshelves so that they don't actually break their necks over stacks of books when they get here. And I might make some tomato soup for lunch with tomatoes from my garden. So I'm a little bit further on in Clock Without Hands, and it just amazes me how, even though it was written in, I believe, early 1960s, it just transfers to contemporary society so easily. The main, or one of the main characters is referred to as the judge in this book. He is a real white supremacist, racist, a bigot, misogynistic. Like he's talking to an acquaintance about a doctor's visit and telling him that he doesn't trust the doctors and that he should just eat liver and then his problems will go away. Probably an anti-vaxxer. I've just read a bit where he's talking about how after his wife died he tried to find a new partner, but no one was good enough. I don't know, sounds like an insult to me. Like, you can just tell the exact type. Yeah, amazing how this is, 60 years old, but it's super relevant still. Good morning. It is now Thursday. We are halfway through the week. Yesterday I read about half of Clock Without Hands. It definitely has some interesting characters in it. Plot-wise, I don't really know where the book is going, but I do love sort of exploring the relationships these characters have with each other. I think the author is really great at describing sort of small town communities. That's what she does best, and that's what I get in this book. But right now I'm gonna pick my book for the day. Still have my stack here, and we're gonna do the random number generator. There will come a day where I will have this prepared. Okay, so number 7 was When I Sing Mountains Dance by Irene Sola, and this is a translated book from the Catalan, I believe. Yeah, and it's translated by Mara Faye Lethem. Other than it has a beautiful cover, don't know much about this book. I have seen a few people read it and really loved it. I've heard it compared to Flames by Ruby Arnett and Lanny by Max Porter. And it also has some Toni Morrison vibes. Pretty sure this is going to be really good. So I got a little bit further in When I Sing Mountains Dance, and this is really not like anything I've ever read before. It starts off with a man. He's out gathering mushrooms, and then he's struck by lightning and he dies. And in the first 4 chapters you see different perspectives on that. And one of them is from his wife, and how she copes when he dies and how they met. But also there's a chapter that is from the perspective of a ghost, of a witch. And then there's a chapter from the perspective of mushrooms. It sounds pretty weird, but I'm here for it. It really works. It's really beautifully written. I don't understand it all yet, and I sort of wonder where it will go. And then I'm just really intrigued by it. Hello. As you can see, I've already done some things this morning. I went for a nice long walk. I wanted to get out early because there is a lot of rain forecast for the rest of the day. So I went for a walk. I went to a cafe, had some coffee and some second breakfast. I read a little bit and gathering moss. I went to the library to pick up a hold that was ready for me, which was Heartstopper Volume 2, and then I also saw they had Volume 3, so I picked those up. I had a shower, and now it's around 11 o'clock, and I thought I'd pick the book for the day. This will be the last book I'll pick from my pile, and then over the weekend I'll finish whichever books I haven't finished yet. It's going to be most of them. Right, random number generator 1 to 8, and got number 5, which is a Dutch book. This is the one and only book I've ever been sent to by a publisher. I think it's about a boy and then a new family comes to live in their street, and it's quite an eccentric family, and it really sort of upends his life as he is used to it. So it could be pretty fun. I do read a bit quicker in Dutch, so I think I'll be able to finish this in one day. Look. There's a character in my name, which doesn't happen very often. She better be an interesting person. So I'm almost halfway through. So I'm no doctor, nor am I a medical expert, but I do work at a GP center, so I have a little bit of knowledge. So when there's medical things described that are clearly wrong, that annoys me a little bit. In the story, there's a boy, and he's cycling and he falls down. So he has a wound on his knee, which gets infected, and he has a fever, and he goes to the doctor. And then what happens? Well, for one, he goes to the doctor with his dad, but then when he gets treated, the dad is asked to leave, which would never happen with a minor, unless it is in the interest of the safety of the child. 2, they put stitches in the wound, which you can't do if the wound is more than 24 hours old. And 3, you would never stitch up a wound anyway if it's infected. So I wish he checked his facts a bit more. So I'm about 50 pages from the end, and I've decided to DNF it. I think the story is weird, but not in a interesting way, just in a silly way. I think the characters are very one-dimensional, just not interested in continuing it. So it's a shame, but I didn't really have that big expectations of this book, so I'm not super disappointed about it. Good morning. It's Saturday morning, which means I'm not going to pick any new books today, but I did want to take stock to see where we're at now. So I finished Brickmakers by Selva Almada. I DNF'd het bordeel aan het eind van de straat, but I'm still going to count it because I got about 3/4 of the way through. I have about an hour left on my audiobook. Upright Women Wanted. There's about 4 essays I still need to read in Gathering Moss. I still need to read most of Ace. There's about 40 pages left in Clock Without Hands. And about 50 pages in When I Sing Mountains Dance. So I think I should be able to finish that in the next 2 days. I'm going on a course all about weeds this morning. Or maybe not weeds, just, you know, plants that you might find by the side of the road. And all about their, you know, positive properties. So I think that should be pretty interesting. And then we're having a like 12 in 24-hour readathon with a couple of bookstagrammers. And Milena of Milena Reads is also doing reading sprints on her channel. So that's a good way to get some more reading done. So I'm off now, but then later this afternoon I'll do lots of reading. It's about 4 in the afternoon and it is the first time I'm sitting down today. one of those days where time just gets away from you. I did finish Upright Women Wanted on audiobook, which was a lot of fun, and it had some really interesting characters who I really enjoyed meeting in this book. The only thing is that I wanted it to be longer. It feels very much like there's more to the story. It sort of ends in a way, not necessarily a cliffhanger, but in a way that the characters are like ready for their next adventures. So yeah, it sort of leaves you wanting more. But yeah, very enjoyable nonetheless. So now I'm gonna make myself a cup of tea, see if Milena is still doing her reading sprints and join those. Tomorrow is gonna be very rainy and windy and generally autumnal, which is great. And since I've done all my errands and groceries and everything I had to do outside today, that means I don't have to go outside if I don't want to tomorrow, and read all day. I just finished Clock Without Hands by Carson McCullers, and it is a book that I think I have to mull over a little bit more and let it settle. But what I can say is that Carson McCullers is really good at writing complex characters. There's 4 different point of views in this book, 4 different men, and I didn't like any of them, but they were all interesting to read about. She really gets into their hearts and minds and into their motives for what they do. It isn't my favorite of hers. I liked The Heart is a Lonely Hunter and The Member of the Wedding. I like those better. It is definitely one that makes you think. So that's another book done. I have 3 to go. How'd you like my side ponytail? I've been inspired by Anwen, who is the real star of Socky Expat Book Nerd, as we all know. I have finished my 5th book, Gathering Moss by Robin Wall Kimmerer. Now, I didn't like it as much as Braiding Sweetgrass, and I think it's because this one has a little bit less of the indigenous culture and folklore in it, but it's still really, really good. And like I said in my last vlog, I think Robin Wall Kimmerer is definitely the author that makes you want to be out in nature the most. Like, this is not a science book, it's not a reference book. It's very much her personal experiences of nature. She combines it with her scientific research and teaching you things about moss. What I love about her writing is that it really shows how much she loves nature and how it is such a big part of her everyday life. It feels like she's a person who like still gets inspired by nature every day and is and learns from nature all the time. I've noticed that whenever I've read Robin Wall Kimmerer, I have been paying a lot more close attention to the outside world, which makes reading this book a very valuable experience. So I just finished When I Sing Mountains Dance, and like in that clip where I talked a little bit about this book a few days ago, I am still struggling to tell you what this book is about. What makes it special is that every chapter in this book is told from a different perspective, and it's not only from people but also from animals and from things like the clouds and the mountains, and they all tell their perspective on different events. But in some cases I find it hard to say what these events actually are. It doesn't always get very clear. So in the end I was still a little bit confused about the book, which I don't necessarily mind. I don't always need a straightforward plot, and I sort of enjoyed the writing style. I must say that I enjoyed the non-human perspectives the most of this book. I thought that those were really well done and made for a very interesting read. But because I thought the human perspectives were less engaging, I also felt a little bit disconnected to the book. So that was book number 6. I think I will actually end this vlog right now. I will still read a little bit in Ace this evening, but I don't think I will finish it. So I'll wrap it up now. I ended up DNFing 1 book, finishing 5 books, and I'm about halfway through in the last one, and I think that's a real success. I didn't quite manage to get to 7 books in a week, but since I normally read about 7 or 8 books in a month, that is still a big accomplishment. And also I really enjoyed most of the books. I think Ace is going to be my favorite, even though I haven't finished it yet. And apart from the book I DNF'd, I think all the other ones were sort of 3.5, 4 stars. So overall, a very good reading week. I also managed to fulfill some prompts for Shorty September with these books. I can't remember all the official names of the prompts, but I think the book I DNF'd could be one for a book I might regret later, because going in I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. Gathering Was is a book on nature and also a comfort read. Clock Without Hands is a modern classic. So, Brickmakers is a translated book, and I would also say an unreliable narrator, because part of it is written from the perspective of 2 boys who are dying. And then When I Sing Mountains Dance could be would be the beautiful cover, which I have here. Beautiful cover. So yeah, that's a few of those done. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Let me know if you've read any of these books and just what you've been up to this week. Just leave a comment in the comment section down below. Bye bye.